Hey there, how are you today? My name is Dana Damara, and you have landed on Astrocast. This is your weekly forecast from March 17th through the 24th. So, this week's forecast is slightly mellow in comparison to last week. Last week we had, Mercury going into retrograde, Venus is still in retrograde, and then we had a full moon eclipse in the sign of Virgo. So that means different things to different people. It means nothing to some people, but if you're watching this, I'm assuming that it means something to you. Full moon lunar eclipses are pretty, actually, eclipses, whether they're solar or lunar eclipse, are very powerful, and they have the opportunity, or they have the energy, I should say, to really just support you in removing things from your life that aren't aligned with where you're going. And we are in a very particular time in history where some of the astrology that we're seeing this year is astrology that we haven't seen in some cases, maybe 12, 14 years, but in a lot of cases, like 200 years, right? So, and that is all available on Cosmic Map 2025. If you go to yourcosmicmapping.com, you can get the recording. But there's so much change happening right now. And I called out the theme equanimity for this week because I feel like it's such an important word to continue to come back to. I feel like we have information coming at us all the time, almost to a detriment. There's just a little too much information coming at us, literally coming at us, that we don't need. And utilizing practices in our life, regardless of the astrology, will support us in creating that sense of equanimity, that sense of mental balanced thought processes in our mind, that sense of, is this truth or illusion? Is this, quote unquote, good for me or bad for me? That sense of being able to see what's really real. For me, that's equanimity. When I'm in a state of equanimity, I'm neither pulling nor pushing. I'm neither wanting or, refusing. I'm none of that. I'm just in the middle. I'm in that state where everything is balanced from side to side. And I think it's just a really wonderful place to practice. So that's our theme for the week. Let me give you the astrology so you understand why I chose it, because it was a tough one to choose. So first of all, last week we had our full moon lunar eclipse. Mercury went into retrograde and Venus was in retrograde as well. We haven't had Venus in retrograde during an eclipse in a while. And here's what I want to say, first of all, before I get into the whole astrology for the week, because it's pretty chill compared to what we experienced last week. When we have Venus retrograde, Venus makes this beautiful design in the sky. It's pretty phenomenal. And it takes 8 years to make that design, 8 retrogrades. So in any given time frame, when you take Venus retrograde and you look back 8 years, 8 years, 8 years, you can potentially see some patterns. And if you see some patterns, it's really wonderful, because then you can say to yourself, oh, this might be the same sort of lesson that I'm supposed to be learning. Now, if we have Venus retrograde at the same time there's an eclipse, it's almost like it gives it that power boost it needs for you to see things in truth. But here's one thing we have happening at the beginning of the week that might cloud that judgment, and that is the sun conjuncting Neptune. Okay, so Neptune is the planet of illusion and fantasy and big dreams. And so when the sun sits with Neptune, which, by the way, Neptune is about to enter a brand new sign. It hasn't been in this sign since 1861. Just saying. But it's been in the sign that it's in now. It's been sitting, it's in Pisces. It's been sitting in Pisces for 12, 14 years now. It's going to move into Aries, but before it moves into Aries, it's conjuncting the sun. And this will amplify your dreams, both sleeping dreams and waking dreams. But it will also potentially create a sense of illusion around things that come up for you. So use your discernment. And again, when we're in that state of equanimity where we're not pulling or pushing or efforting, we're just being, it's really easy to see what's truth and what's not. Venus is pretty active this week. Venus is going to sextile Pluto. And when, first of all, remember Venus is in retrograde, so it's a little bit of intensity around relationships and our value, you know, how we value ourselves and what we value, and love and money. But when Venus sextiles Pluto, it gives us an opportunity to go a little bit deeper into the intensity of those ideals in those different arenas of our life. The sun's going to conjunct Venus, which is a good thing. This is also between the 21st and the 24th, so it's right when spring equinox happens. So this is when we want to really focus on, again, that whole balance, right? The equinox. We want to balance out what's important in those certain arenas of our life and where we want to really put our energy. When the sun conjuncts Venus in the middle of a retrograde timeline, it is what we call a Venus cazimi. So it's the halfway point of the the retrograde. Right around that same day, we have the spring equinox. Now, we have 4 what I call turns of the wheel every calendar year. So we have 4 times where the seasons change. And we've always paid attention to the seasons changing, right? Well, now we're going into spring and now we're going into summer. And I would ask you to take a little deeper look, because we also have the sun sextiling Pluto. So I would ask you to take a little deeper look and ask yourself, you know, what season of your life is shifting, right? So if the seasons outside of you are shifting, then maybe somewhere inside you're shifting. Maybe there's a chapter you're heading into. Maybe there's things that feel more important to you now. Maybe there's things that you're like, why am I even holding on to this? This is silly. This right now, with all the combined astrology, right? Keep in mind, we still have a solar eclipse coming up with the new moon at the end of the month. So hello, we're sitting in between eclipses, which I like to think is the center of like this magical portal where you get to really hone in on what it is that you want to draw into your life, what you want to create in your life, and what's in the way. And a great thing to do is declutter. Like, just start with spring cleaning. Go through your house, physically clean things out. Go through your mind, mentally clear things out. Go through your emotions, emotionally clear things out. We've got some time, but this is a big time to hold nothing and be open to everything. So in that, find some equanimity, find some balance, right? Find that balance between, you know, being in the nothing and being in the doing. There's a beautiful spot in between where everything just aligns. So that was kind of a long-winded forecast, but even though it's sort of a mellow week, I like to think of it as this space where we're still in the magic of the lunar eclipse and we're leading up to this magic of the solar eclipse. And then come May, June, July, all these planets are moving into new signs, and I'm telling you, it's going to be like a reset button, like a huge reset button. So now's like that good time to just cancel clear. Okay, I could go on for days, but I don't want to ramble. So I hope you're having a beautiful day. Please reach out to me if you want your chart read. And until then, take care. Namaste.